Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Lewis, and today we are going to be taking a look at some of my favorite villains from the Dragon Ball universe. So Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, just all of it. I found this list on tiermaker.com. It's going to be great. I'm just going to be rating them from Z rank, get it, all the way to D, just based on my general impression of the character. I'm not going to be overthinking it too much. I'm not going to think, are they a good villain? Are they redeemable? Just where do they fit in my priorities? Do I like to think about them? Do I think they're worth seeing more of? So, without further ado, just in order of how I see them, we're going to start with Hit, I believe his name is. And Hit is not interesting to me. I'm sorry. I haven't seen all of Dragon Ball Super, I'm sorry, so if I don't know who someone is, I'm probably just going to rank them as a B. But Hit, I have seen his saga in Dragon Ball Super, and as a villain, well, he's not one. He is a good rival character. I think he adds a lot to think about in that series, but as a villain, I don't think he's that great. Deborah, I have to put Deborah right at the bottom because while he is under the control of Babidi, he's really cool, and he could have been so much more. But as soon as Babidi loses control of him, he turns into this like sniveling doofus essentially, and I do not care for him after that point. And then we never really see him again. Spopovich, and I think the other one's name is Vujovic. Vujovic? Doesn't matter. I'm gonna rank them as a C because it's weird. Because I'm pretty sure you only ever get to see them while they're possessed. I can't remember, but they're literally just there to be like this antagonistic force toward Gohan to get him to lose his temper, and after that, you never see them again. They're not really important. Android 19, I give him a B. Like, he served his purpose well. He was there to kill Goku. He was scary. He was actually really scary. Like, I didn't want this thing touching me. This, I believe, is Goku Black, and I didn't like Goku Black. I didn't like any of that saga. It was contrived and silly, and much like a lot of Dragon Ball Super. Shots fired! Okay. Dodoria is a B. You don't learn much about Dodoria, but Dodoria does serve a good role as a typical, like, overpowered henchman, I guess. Recoome? We like Recoome. Recoome is, like, very unique and loud, and reminds me of some people that I actually know. And it's very endearing. It's cool to have this personality that is so, like, extroverted and confident, but is still actually, like, a really bad person. I forget this guy's name, and that's probably because I don't like him. Super Boo, now we're getting into it. Super Boo, I'll rate him as a B. The more you learn about the expanded Dragon Ball universe, the more that you learn that this guy is actually kind of a big deal. But in the context of, like, a general Dragon Ball saga, he's really, like, kind of hard to get your head around. And he's not, like, he doesn't have, like, a personal beef with the Z Warriors at all. He's just kind of evil. It's not very interesting. Speaking of not interesting, Broly is going down into C rank. I've never, like, I like me an overpowered character, but Broly is the definition of an overpowered character to the point that it stops being fun. Like, okay, so your character has all of the powers and all of the forms, and he can't be killed even with a wish from the dragon. I'm embellishing a little bit, but Broly is like a character who was written by a child who has no self-control. Frieza is going to get a B rank, if only because Frieza is evil, and Frieza is like this Everest, if you will, for characters to overcome in order to grow. But the thing about Frieza, in my book, is that there's not a lot of, like, empathy. A good villain, you need to be able to empathize to them a little bit. And not just Frieza, but a lot of villains in the Dragon Ball universe kind of suffer from this. I don't know this guy's name, but he is the Crane style teacher from Dragon Ball, Tien's master, and I think he's just a dick. I'm gonna fairly rate him a B just because I don't really know him. Gul'dan, I'm going to put him in the same vein as Raccoon just because, like for different reasons. He similar to Frieza, I guess, is kind of like an Everest for Vegeta to overcome a little bit. But he's also like he's a very small, like easy to underestimate kind of a threat, and he's actually kind of dangerous. Zamasu is going all the way to the bottom. Like even I hate him even more than Goku Black. At least Goku Black was kind of like mysterious. Like why does he look like Goku? But then like Zamasu is just like this over entitled prick essentially, and he's different from what you expect of the Kai this late in the series too. General Tao, I'm gonna put General Tao up in A rank because he's funny and he never dies, right? Like I think the last time we see General Tao is in the Cell Saga when Goku's trying to collect the Dragon Balls, and he's still kicking around doing his evil stuff. So yeah, we like General Tao. Uh, that's Goku. Like I said, I haven't seen all of Super, so I don't know why this guy's in a list of villains. This is a villains tier list, so I don't know why he's here. I'm just gonna put him in a B. I don't think Goku makes a very good villain. Uh, Garlic Jr. Garlic Jr. He's a C. Oh, I'm sorry, he's a B. He's midway. He's there's a. You know what? I wish that they had shown us more of Garlic Senior, right? Because like I feel like there's a lot to learn about Garlic Junior. Because there's like all of this like talked about history between Garlic Senior and Kame and all that, but you never really learn about it. You just learn about his like dick of a son who does the same thing over and over again, sends himself into the dead zone. He's a very disappointing kind of a villain who could have been something a lot more, I think. Nappa, uh, Nappa's I rate him a B. As the sidekick character to Vegeta, he serves his purpose well if only to demonstrate how much stronger Vegeta actually is than the average Saiyan warrior. So yeah, I don't know who this character is. So into B you go. Cell. Okay. As far as villains go, I think Cell is pretty good. Cell has his goals, he's got his values, and like he's fixated on what he wants. He may have been programmed by Dr. Gero to want what he wants, but he very much owns it. And as like this again, like as this Everest figure, not for Goku, not for Vegeta, but for Gohan, I don't think any other character could have done it as well as Cell did, because Cell is kind of an amalgamation of every challenge he's faced up till that point. So we like Cell. Tien, so fun fact if you haven't watched the Dragon Ball series, pretty much literally every character that teams up with Goku ever after Bulma is a villain. Even Krillin was in a small facet of villain. So Tien was a villain. He was like this antagonistic rival, I guess. I haven't seen all of Dragon Ball, so I'm not really too strongly familiar with what Tien's role was in Dragon Ball. But they do become friends, and I think Tien was great because, like a good villain, you could empathize with him, and he grew, and he became something different. Jiren, I have not seen Jiren's saga. I'm going to have to put him in the B section. I'm sorry. Piccolo, so Piccolo before he joins the Z Warriors, when he's just the son of King Piccolo. Uh, yeah, I'd say he's a really great villain because he was antagonistic to Goku, and again, he grew as a character. He changed his mind, and that's great. I like that. Paragus has a lot of reason to be the way that he is, because King Vegeta literally like exiled him or whatever, right? And he had his ideas. I feel like Paragus is probably right to feel like he got kind of shafted by King Vegeta. So as a villain, he makes sense. Like, unlike a lot of these villains who are just kind of here for the sake of being villains, Paragus kind of makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to put Paragus actually like all the way to the top there. QE, I'm going to have to put QE down in like C, because QE, he's got this history with Vegeta sort of, and that serves to drive the plot a little bit, but he could have been replaced with literally anyone. Vegeta is another great villain, and again, unlike a lot of them, he actually has like a reason to be there. He becomes a main character by virtue of overcoming his villainous ways, and it's an ongoing challenge forever that we see him revisit a couple of times. So that's good character development. I love it. Majin Buu, I put him in A. He's a destructive force, and that's all the Kais really want to tell you about Majin Buu, is that he's like a destructive force that can't be contained. And then you meet him and you find out he's kind of just like this man-child with no manners or discretion. You know, he just kind of has no impulse control, so he just does what he wants. If he wants to destroy a town, he does. And then he meets Hercule or Mr. Satan, whatever you want to call him, and he reins him in and he becomes a good guy. It's really, I like it. It's really smart. I believe this is a reference to the Red Ribbon Army, or the androids of the Red Ribbon Army. And as a general concept, I think as a recurring theme, that's really good. That's good villainy, because it's like this whole team, and you may meet some of the androids, but you have not met all of the androids, and it keeps it mysterious. I like it. Berta, unlike the other two we've covered from the Ginyu Force, I'm going to have to put Berta down in C rank, because he could have been swapped out. I don't think his personality saves him very much, and that's all I can really say about him. Kid Buu, okay, right next to Majin Buu, same story, right? The Kais, all they say is that Majin Buu is a destructive force and cannot be reasoned with. And then, like, this Kid Buu, as I understand, is supposed to be Majin Buu in his, like, purest, most basic form, or, like, his, like, how he is actually supposed to be. And you find out he's a kid, right? So he's not actually more powerful than Majin Buu or any other form. He's just more dangerous. It's because he has the same level of reasoning as a young child, and that's really smart. Like, for a character who is literally just there for the sake of being evil, he has no personal agenda with or against any of the Z Warriors. It's really pretty smart that they just put the Z Fighters up against what is essentially a child. Chaozu, so I'm going to have to put him right next to Tian, because what one is thinking, the other's thinking, essentially, and there's not much else to say about that. King Cold? I think King Cold is okay. I'm going to give King Cold a pretty high B ranking. King Cold is probably our first, or one of our first looks at, like, the Frieza race after Frieza, and it kind of fleshes them out a little bit. It creates this picture, if you will, because, like, there's so much obscurity around Frieza and what he is and what is his race, what do they do, and then you meet King Cold, and it kind of paints a little more of a picture, so I like King Cold for that reason. It might have been better if we saw a little more of him. Zarbon. Zarbon is a pretty good villain, because he is actually, like Dodoria, he serves his purpose well as being a henchman, but there's, like, mystery around him, what with his having the ability to transform into a gross monster. He wants to, like, he's this pretty boy, but he turns into a hideous monster and becomes a lot more powerful. I remember playing in some of the Dragon Ball Z, like, fighting games, where there's, like, what-if stories. They explore in one of them, actually, the idea that Zarbon wants to find the Dragon Balls so that he can just permanently stay beautiful. So he could, like, have the power of his, like, monster form, but stay beautiful. And it would have been interesting to see Zarbon fleshed out a little more like that. Captain Ginyu. Captain Ginyu is a great villain, because he is just an officer, right? But he's a loyal one. He is loyal to the nth degree to Frieza, and he's really strong and crafty. Like, that's the thing, is he is presented as, like, this Mr. Major soldier man, I'll do the bidding of my master, but he's actually really smart, and he surprises you like that. I like it. Jace. Jace is going into B rank, if only because he's not quite as engaging as, say, Raccoon, but he's a little more memorable than Berta. So that's what I'm going to say on that. Android 16 is up in the A section because I would question if he's ever really a villain. He wants to defeat Goku, but he's such a peaceful person that his one desire to kill Goku, I would say, is not enough to actually rank him as a villain, but he makes you think, and he's a really good character. King Piccolo, good villain, good villain. Even though Dragon Ball runs for many seasons, it feels like he's kind of always just there. He's like always been a factor because Kame has always been there, and you learn about the relationship between him and Kame, and it's very interesting. And it kind of like the further into Dragon Ball you get, the more of a picture it paints of how the Dragon Ball world is structured, and that's good. It's good world building. Babidi, I have to put him in the same section as Garlic for the same reason. You hear a lot about what their father did, and you see that what they're doing now is probably nothing compared to that. So it's like it leaves a lot to the imagination. I want to see what Bibbidi was doing to make such a fuss for the Kais, but we never get to really see that. Dr. Gero, A. I'm going to rate Dr. Gero as an A. He has a personal vendetta against Goku, so he makes a lot more sense as a villain than some others. But he does go down very quickly, and we don't get to see him fleshed out maybe as much as we could have seen. It was cool to see him in the Android saga, and it's like, oh wow, there's Dr. Gero. But then he like dies 2 episodes later, and then you find out, well, okay, so like Android 17 and 18 are actually the big threat, and then you find out that like, oh no, well actually Cell is the big threat, and it's like, alright, I guess we'll just forget Dr. Gero was even here. Speaking of androids, here is Android 17, and I will put Android 17 also in the in the A section, because he is like, not to give spoilers for Super, but he does finally turn it around. He becomes a good guy. You learn about him. You know that he wants to be a park ranger. He eventually leans into being the person that he wanted to be before being roboticized. But as a villain in the Android saga in Dragon Ball Z, he is a lot more standoffish, a lot more violent. And you got to remember that Android 17 and 18 are just teenagers, so it's kind of similar to Kid Buu, where you got to remember that what you're dealing with is someone who has a lack of self-control and a lack of worldly experience. So, good villain. A lot to think about with Android 17. Raditz. I really like Raditz, and I'm going to put him as an A. He is the brother of Goku. I feel like, and this is purely speculation, I feel like Akira Toriyama might have wanted to gear Dragon Ball Z in a direction where Raditz was a recurring character, not Vegeta, just because they did have that brother-like relationship. Like, they were brothers, they had the same father. There was a lot they could have done with Raditz, and I've always liked Raditz. So it's a shame that he's become like kind of the butt of a lot of jokes and has essentially just been forgotten in the series, which is a shame. I like Raditz. Okay, so there's Emperor Pilaf and his gang, and similar to General Tao, I'm going to put him up in the A section just because they're really good comic relief. And even through Super, you still see them kicking around up to their old tricks. And it's funny to think about how their old tricks, which they're still doing the exact same way in Super, it's funny to think about how in Dragon Ball, like, this was a problem. And now in Super, it's like, that's cute. Okay, Evil Boo. Evil Boo. I have to put Evil Boo like right next to Super Boo, just because they are the same character. I'm pretty sure they are literally the same character. Like, Evil Boo turns into Super Boo by absorbing Majin Buu, in the same way that like Super Buu later becomes like Buu fused with Gotenks, and then Buu fused with Gohan. Like, it's just the progression of him getting stronger. So I don't think these are different characters at all. I've heard this referred to as Evil Buu, but it's more like a visual, like a name to the visual distinction. Lord Beerus. Lord Beerus is a B, I would have to say, because he's not really a villain. He's a villain in the sense that he does try to destroy Earth, but you very quickly learn enough about Lord Beerus to realize that, like, it's not really anything personal. He might get offended, and you might think that he's taking things personally, but he's just got a hair trigger reaction to most things. Like, it's his job and role to destroy things as ordained by the literal gods. So I don't even consider him a villain. He adds a lot to Super. He's opened a lot of doorways. I like him as a character. He's pretty fun. But as a villain, I'd call it debatable. Then we have Android 18 wrapping up this list, and I would have to rank her right next to Android 17 for the same reason, just that she, a lot quicker than 17, kind of turns her life around. You got to remember, she is a teenager. She is the victim of circumstances, and both she and 17 have bombs in their chests, I just remembered. So they're not even doing everything that they do of their own volition. They kind of have to go with their programming, right? Or they will die. So that's how that be. Anyways, this has been my list ranking Dragon Ball Z villains, just in my general fondness for them. Rank Z to D. Tell me in the comments what you think. Who do you agree with? Who would you have ranked differently? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Your every view, watch, comment, everything helps me a hell of a lot, and I thank you very deeply from the bottom of my heart for your continued support. So until next time, you have a good one, eh?